Okay, there's so much active weather going on today. I just thought I had to do a little bit of a presentation about it for the class. Give you just some insights into what you've already learned, what you're going to be learning. Right now, there's a lot of potential for flooding out in parts of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. So just looking at that back in there a little bit, we can see this area right here. Let's go back here a minute, and I'm going to try to get a better picture of this. Right here is some flooding things that are going on. Well, there's a couple interesting things in this mesoscale discussion right here. And what it is a discussion of widespread heavy flooding likely. What the heck does that we're talking about here? Well, you have a couple fronts. And if you go back to where we were here, you will see up on this page right here, surface fronts. Here it is, warm front. Okay, warm air to the south is overriding this colder air to the north. Notice how strong this high is. For this time of year, these highs should be running in the 1020s, typically for millibars, and this one's up almost to 1040 millibars. It's very strong, pretty cold too, 39 degrees up here in Canada. So all this moisture overrunning it, and that's what we're seeing with the picture I just showed you with their little watch there. See the warm, moist air coming up, cold air to the north, keeping it from moving north. So what you wind up with is all kind of rain developing, very, very heavy rain. And, oh yeah, this is Gordon. What's left of Gordon? A lot of moisture that came up from the Gulf of Mexico and all now is in this area. So that's just an example of what you can see today on the weather map. One other thing that I wanted to just mention, because it's kind of interesting to me, is Tropical Storm Florence. Here was the 2 o'clock track. You can see it's still a tropical storm moving along here, but it becomes a major hurricane, at least a Category 3 hurricane on the Fujita scale by the time it's moving through here. And they're actually forecasting 150 mile an hour winds by 8 a.m. Thursday out there. So looking at that, let's take a look at that right now and see what it looks like on satellite. First, I guess I got the convection. Notice all that moisture riding over. I talked about it. Right along the warm front, you have tremendous thunderstorms developing. Back here where Gordon was, you still have a lot of moisture, a lot of thunderstorms. And up to the north, you can see a lot of high cloud tops, so you get lots of rainfall there. So here's a satellite image, though, over the Atlantic Ocean, basically the tropical part. Here's this is a water vapor image, so the greener, the more water vapor is in the cloud. Here's Florence. Notice that there used to be a little bit of dry air kind of got into the system. The last few days, Florence has been a tropical storm. And part of that's because this dry air, wind shear got into the system. Here's number 11, which I bet will be named later on today. And here's the other one, Helene, off the coast. And you can see almost no dry air in the circulation whatsoever, just pure lots of moisture. Oh, but look east as you go here. As Florence is moving eastward, to the westward, excuse me, lots of moisture. So you don't really see a lot of chance for this thing to get good dry air wrapped into it. So one of the other things to look at on the Atlantic image is basically a high resolution. It's like an infrared visible. This is basically showing you the best resolution the satellite has to offer. You can see a feeder band coming in with lots of moisture here, Florence. Here's the other system, really cold cloud tops, and another one here. So all these systems moving along here. And then all that moisture over here. So one last thing to look at with this will be infrared image. Very cold cloud tops there. Very, very cold cloud tops on this one. So it's probably going to become a named storm pretty soon. with that kind of cold cloud stuff. But you can also see here now, if you zoom in to Florence in here, the center of it's probably right in the air. There's been southwest winds here, they called it, pushing the top this way. So you can see it kind of right in that area right now. So with all this in mind, moving into this very moist air mass out here, lots of warm water, this thing's going to begin to intensify as it's moving east. All the models show that. So one of the things I wanted to show you is there's a ton of different numerical models out there every day. And this is 20 models that are run by the National Weather Service. These are all looking over the whole world, called GFS. You could argue the European model might be a little better, but sometimes it's a toss-up between the two. This is where the low that is Florence is supposed to be next Saturday morning. If you go back in time, as it's approaching the coast, here would be Thursday. And you can see it ranges, there's one down here, another one up here, another one over here, another one here, all over the place. And it continues that way. And eventually a lot of them seem to be off the coast and stay out to sea. So now if you're the Weather Service, what do you do with that? Well, one of the things that the National Weather Service does is issue a 7-day forecast. And it gets input from the National Hurricane Center and the Weather Prediction Center. One is in Miami, one is up in Silver Springs, Maryland. They work together on this. So if this is day 3, this is Tuesday, you can see cold front. What's left of Gordon is up here. This cold front's down through the eastern part of the United States. Day 4, kind of just stalls out. Here comes Florence. Notice this big high up to the north here. What we were showing you earlier, that high, that's the biggest influence on where Florence is going to go. 1024 now, but it's weaker, but it's still there. Florence isn't going to want to go right into that high. It's going to go underneath it somewhere. So if that high is like that, you see Florence comes inland in South Carolina. And the high holds. Probably be a lot of rain up this way in my house. And day 7, you can see that Florence is weakened now and still holding right along that front. So you can see the complications the Weather Service is having in forecasting this. And you can just, just visualize how difficult that is. I just thought I'd give that as something you could, take in from what's happening right now and maybe apply to future learning here. So hope you got something out of it. Let me know if you have any questions about this.